When you Google the word Cedric, guess who comes up first? Hey, I'm Chris Cuomo, Cedric the Entertainer. One of the great blessings of being able to do the Chris Cuomo Project is to talk to people that I believe shape and influence the world around us. And when it comes to entertainment and comedy, you don't get the title, one of the kings of comedy, lightly. Cedric the Entertainer is such a great study in the hustle, the diversity of talent it takes to make it in American media today, and he is just downright fun to talk to. Thank you for subscribing and following, and here is a great conversation about how we got to where we are in America and what it means about where we're going, all through the lens of what makes us laugh. Cedric the Entertainer. Uh-oh, Mother's Day is coming. What are you gonna get her? What are you gonna do? Here's something that you may not think of. Bedding. You know, they care about bedding. By the way, you should care about bedding.
I do care about bedding. I think about it all the time.
No, you don't. So, but I'll tell you what, soft, luxurious, sustainable. It's a big thing now, right? People who care, dare to care. That leads you to bedding from Cozy Earth. Why? Because not only is this stuff quality, does it feel good, temperature regulating, you know, all that technology that they put into bedding now, they do as well. You can change your bathroom into like a spa with the towels. I mean, they're amazing. They're really nice, thick. You know, they got the waffle towel collection, you know, that's deep pocketed.
Yeah.
I don't like the way he's looking at me.
No.
I'll tell you what.
I'm thinking of
You're going to need a towel for your bloody nose.
I live in a New York City apartment. It is a very small apartment. These towels are great. They sound great. It's not going to turn into a spa. We barely have room for the toilet
It's a
and the
spa
sink.
feel.
It's one of the smallest rooms I've ever been in. Of all the rooms I've ever been
It's
in.
so small you got to go outside to change your mind?
Huh.
You know, he's such a snob with jokes. Back to the ad. Here's what I really dig about Cozy Earth, okay? They use bamboo, okay? And that is such a game changer in terms of tearing up our forests. So that is very cool, okay? And I dig it because I've really bought into Christina's whole wellness vibe with her company, The Purist, my wife. And you really should think about all the choices that you make. And okay, I want bedding. I'd rather have nicer bedding than shittier bedding. And Cozy Earth gives me the advantage of decent price point, and they're not destroying the environment the way other companies are. So, Cozy Earth is having a huge Mother's Day sale going on right now. You can save up to 35%, but you know what you need? Promo code, what is it? Chris at CozyEarth.com. So you just enter my code, which is
Chris
at checkout, and you can get up to 35% off your order. Even if you live in a tiny apartment, you still must sleep. Happy Mother's Day.
Thank you.
You mother. Let's begin with how busy you have been for so long. Is that a point of pride for you?
Definitely. I mean, coming from St. Louis, man, the idea of, having something to do like a man, like I guess, I was the only boy in a single parent household, my mother and then my younger sister. And so you definitely took on this idea like of showing that you're kind of worth your weight in gold. Like, so you go to work, you do what you got to do, you make it, you hustle it. And I started doing my comedy career like this, something I called stacking, where I would like, if I can make $100 on Wednesday nights and make $500 on Thursday and then make, another $600 on the weekend, that's how I would count my week. So I would work a job and then do whatever I could at night to go find these little gigs popping around. So it's been my way ever since. Like even in good times, I still like, I got the show, we do movies, but I'm still like, I'm on tour right now. Like I still just go get it, man. That's me. And then we had that family joke. If I see a nickel on the ground, I'm gonna pick that up too.
And it was a choice for you because a lot of education in the family. Your
Yeah.
sister's a professor.
Yeah.
You got a communications degree.
Yeah.
What was the vibe in the home when you said, but I'm an artist and I'm going to grind and I'm going to go this way?
Oh, it was crazy. I mean, because, my mother, who was a school teacher and worked, from a rural town and then built her way up and of course taught for 30 years. Education was it. That was the thing. So I went to school I did the right thing. I was working. I had a good corporate job, if you will. I was working at State Farm. And then I came in and just told my mom, I was like, I want to be a comedian. But I told her this when I was younger, not a comedian, but I remember Fame was out and I wanted to go to a performing arts high school because I could sing, I could dance, I could do it all like when I was younger. And I was just like, Mom, I could do all that stuff. And she was like, I know, babe, but the only performing arts school in St. Louis was on the other side of town. It was a busing situation. She was like, no, you're my only son. Nope, not doing it.
Did
So,
she think you were funny?
She did. She did. She definitely enjoyed me as my personality and thought that was pretty clever. I tell you, when that was one of those key transitional moments when I knew that I could make it as a comedian was telling my mother that I didn't want to do comedy, and then I told her a joke I had written, and she laughed so hard she went to the ground. We were in a kitchen at our house I grew up in, and she went all the way to the floor. And I was like, yes. And she was like, oh my God.
You
thought
are
of that?
a rare combination of now. DL Hughley says I only think it's rare because I don't understand that every comedian used to be this way, but that you can storytell,
Yeah.
you could hit with a one-liner,
Yeah.
you can act, and you can own a character.
Yeah.
I watched online a clip of you in the Mammoth play,
Oh, yeah.
and that was like
Yeah, man.
what was it the
American
American
Buffalo.
Buffalo,
Yeah.
and that range. When you didn't study from a performing arts stuff, how did you develop the process of being able to do all those different types?
Well, I think my early comedy was based off like emulating people. Like, so I would I would take family members or people from the church or somebody, and I would really kind of envelop them into whenever I'm telling a story. I do their walk, their attitude, their mannerisms. So when I started to act, that was the key thing that I really wanted to do was take a character and then try to find out exactly who that character would be in a situation. So, I did study acting a little bit in college. I minored in it, but never like got that formal training. And so, when I had the opportunities to do dramatic roles, I always felt like I kind of surprised people, even when it was even like in Barbershop One was a comedy, but a few of the scenes were very heavily dramatic. Matter of fact, one of the first things I ever had to do when I went on set was that, and that's when I really realized I love acting. Not from a sitcom point of view, but like, oh, like I want to act now too. So
What do you think about comedy today?
I mean, it's weird because you have this thing where, of course, anytime you say something that is of any discourse, you're gonna find people that's like jumping on top of you, right? And that's a weird place to be with comedy. I mean, I guess to a certain degree, it's always been like that. You kind of go back to, I remember Lenny, and it was before my time, but I just remember Lenny Bruce was considered somebody extremely controversial for the things he said.
And he was just cursing.
Yeah. And then, Richard Pryor went through an era where it was like everything was banned and you got to listen to it in secret and, go downstairs and close the door and close the curtain to listen to a Richard Pryor album. But then, it felt like, of course, it was a boom. You had the Def Comedy Jam years and, everybody's doing HBO specials and it's popping off and people are doing great. And then, like this last few years, very challenging about, what it is that you want to say, and free to say, right? And I've never been a comedian that feel like people should go out and be rude, like just intentionally rude to someone or, the kind of thing where you're intentionally hurtful, like you're saying something hurtful, it, but You just like, this is funny to me, But again, if it's funny to you, I mean, I guess it's comedy, man. So I mean, I thought Chappelle said it best because we as comedians, we are in the atmosphere with them, and very rarely are we truly mad at someone for their point of view. Unless, like we know, like they really stand on it. If it's super racist or something like that, all right, you're gonna have a problem with that person. But in general, if they say something that's like crosses the line or they, if you're funny and you doing it because it's funny, you get a pass in the comedy lane. It's like this thing, like,
You used to.
yeah.
It's
Well,
always
for
been a little
comedians,
dicey, yeah. But I got to tell you, I watched the Chappelle thing very carefully. I didn't cover it that much.
yeah,
One, I had a bias because I'm a big fan.
yeah,
And it wasn't for me to decide whether or not what he was saying was offensive. Although there's a big agency problem,
yeah,
not so much in Black America as there is in this new manifestation of minority of LGBTQ
sure,
plus. There's a lot more advocacy of agency for them. Like you don't
sure,
have to be a member of that community to say, "Hey, don't offend this group." It's not always been like that. Where
yeah,
Black people have had to defend themselves a long time. They had
exactly,
allies, but not the way this group has allies, which was part of Dave Chappelle's point,
exactly.
which is that the way he said it was, "I'm jealous of how far you've
Yeah.
come so fast." But did you worry that it was going to take him down?
No, I never did because, Dave is definitely one of those uniquely prolific comedians for me that I already know he says jokes with a degree of empathy and thought. Like he'll say it raw though, like it will be raw, but to know him personally is to know that like this dude is thoughtful. It's like he's not up there just saying something. What was really great was I felt like when he got to the third part of that special and you found out it was a true story about a real person, then all you could do is eat your words because you realize like I'm not generalizing here. I literally was talking about a very specific thing that at the end, the own group y'all condemned the person more than I did. So it's like, oh wow,
Has it encouraged you? You've been doing it so long at such a high level. Is this the kind of pressure that makes you want to do more stand up and to address these things? Or do you see it as an opportunity to create an alternative to how much heat there is out there? Or does it make you want to minimize being on the road and do other projects?
no, I still love being on the road. I still love doing stand up. I generally tend to go and spread joy though. That's my attitude is
Cedric
to
the Entertainer.
come on out, come laugh, let's have a good time. Now, of course, like and again, you never really know where the landmines are. So you can say one thing that's like people can find they can find it a little offensive, and next thing you know, you crossed into the sandbox. So I'm not really sure what, but I find no fear in that. Like at this point, then maybe because again, I believe like my intent is really to make you laugh and have a good time and be joyous. If I missed it, if I, for lack of, or ignorance or on a subject matter, and I kind of missed the point, if you bring it up to me and let me know, all right, cool. Let me deal with that. But I'm not gonna just back down from a fight either.
That is a dicey point. When do you apologize? Should you apologize? Now, I've apologized for things, but I was
Yeah,
always strongly counseled to do so. And I had to
sure.
respect the organization. The organization thinks that, you shouldn't have said this, so you
Yeah.
do it. But I do wonder when I give people advice when they're in trouble, I say, be careful about apologizing
It's so
because
true,
it
man.
is an invitation. Like in life, I did something, I missed something. I said I'd be there for. I call you up. I said, look, I'm sorry,
Right.
and either I have an excuse or I don't. But I'm sorry. I won't do it again. Okay, but in the media, you apologize. It's basically just an admission,
Yeah.
and they will beat you over the head with it.
Yeah. And it's such a slippery slope. And it's one, that, of course, that's one thing that we always felt because Chappelle didn't have any alliances to any corporation at the time. He was really a person that can go out there and say what he wants to say and just kind of stand on it. Other than Netflix, he had no place to really be like, okay, this is over for me, right? Me, I'm a CBS guy, right? I'm a big corporation dude, it's Paramount. It's a giant. So, if you do go out there, I know that our fan base is a little older, it's very Midwest. So, if you go out there and just kind of like just for the sake of a joke and realize that you crossed the line, then maybe, but I try to, in general, believe in the things that I say and the things that come out of my mouth. And if I can, if indeed I can fall on the sword, I will. If as far as just me just going like that, I'll take it. It's on me. And I'm not gonna apologize because it's on me. But I haven't been put in a situation like that before. I remember on Barbershop One, that was that was kinda interesting. That was my first time having that kinda controversial situation, and it was within the script, but then we pushed the whole Martin Luther King thing, and my character was saying things that, again, the Black, Civil Rights Society, all the civil rights were very upset about, and I was getting calls, like, in my house, Jesse Jackson and Reverend Sharpton and everybody was calling me like, "Yo, what's wrong with you?" And I was like, yeah, everybody acts like it's nobody that lived in that time that had a dissenting opinion about any of those things. Like that's all I'm saying. It's guys and we were in the barbershop. It was a person that had a dissenting opinion. He just didn't believe in none of that. That's who I'm playing. And if I can trust that, then I don't mean to offend you, but
How do you balance that as somebody who's had to live the challenges
oh man,
in a business that wasn't always inviting, on the hustle? How do you balance? I guess if it's a big name like a Jesse Jackson or something, then there's something cool about the fact that he's upset in the first
yeah.
place because he matters. But how do you balance how you feel like, in just researching your rise that, I don't need you to tell me how to respect
Yeah,
what I am in terms of my race? Like, how
yeah.
do you balance somebody telling you when you're over the line about how you talk about your own people?
It is one of those things where you realize that people have all of these opinions, and most people are basing their opinion off their own knowledge. They don't have the experiences you have. They haven't run in the circles that you have. And so most of the time I'm willing to listen and hear someone out. And if you're just ranting or you're trying to like hold down some banner, and most of the times nowadays it's because people are trying to, be at the forefront of some particular thing, right? That they'll attack you. And it's, whatever the banner that they're carrying, they want to be the ones that say, no, I wasn't told, say it this, and you be like, man, get out of here with that. So that's the main thing I kind of listen for. If you got something reasonable to say, even in that particular case, Jesse Jackson said the most reasonable thing to me. He was like, this is not really about you. It's about 10 years from now, some kid in Brazil getting, or some kid in the African diaspora getting just that clip used as a clip and saying, this is who Martin Luther King was based off this character. He was like, I just want to protect that. I said, "Well, your argument with them. That ain't with me. I'm an actor. I said, I got it. So I can embrace what you're saying, like as an overall thought, but yeah, as an actor, I'm like making a choice, right?
Did you ever think that? I mean, that was a one-off. I
Yeah,
remember that. Luckily, it wasn't now.
yeah.
Like I often think, if Tropic Thunder happened now, and they wrote, I don't know that
What?
they would write a part
No way.
for even an actor of Robert Downey Jr.'s status to play. It was in blackface, even
Oh
though
my
he was
God.
technically a white guy playing an Australian guy playing a black guy, whatever. Do you think they'd even make it now?
Oh no. No.
And is that okay?
I don't, as far as the art goes, like again, you can't just you saying that right there is so creatively unique that you go like that's a funny thought. It's an ultra because this is the other thing that we always talk about. We temper ourselves, even when we find out that black English actors play Americans. We're always like, did you have to go to England to get this dude right? Like to play this black guy right. So the irony of an Australian actor playing a black actor is and having a white American actor playing Australian. It's like the irony of that is super funny. It's a very Ben Stiller kind of funny too,
Yes.
right? And so if you indeed understand people's brands and their kind of sense of humor, you have to allow that, right? This is the American way. But, right, we're just so sensitive. One of my biggest things it was saying is that we often trap ourselves as African Americans where we can't necessarily do extremely creative things because we know as a race, we'll just stop it ourselves. Like in one of my favorites is the movie Step Brothers, because it's a silly movie, but if you would have did that with two black actors, the black people would have been like, why they gotta live with their mama? Why ain't nobody grown? And we would have just been hating on the movie before you like, it's a comedy. It's crazy. It's satirical. It's not that serious, but you can't afford to be like not taking the real plight of the culture into effect when you put the image out.
I think the challenges are real and
Yeah.
right, but I also think that what you do is also the solution. I mean, one of the reasons I was chasing after you to get you on here is I think that we need your art now more than any other time in my life, where we need to know what to joke about and what's okay and how we can deal with things. Like, we really forgot that because we weaponize everything now.
Yeah.
I mean, right now we're shooting in a city that is on high alert
I know.
in a way that I never anticipated, and everything's weaponized.
Yeah.
But I think comedy is the pass through on that, because at some point you got to laugh about certain things.
And the thing is that, that's so funny because you can write something with it, definitely with a intentional sense of humor. But if you miss that little small line of like missing the target, that's it. That's how small it is. And so people just don't take the chances, because if they miss that target, like, if I hit it, then you get it. Everybody like, oh, that's brilliant, hilarious, right? But if you miss it just by a half a bit, and it's, hey man, what was that all about? Bro, you can't be doing stuff like that. So you're like, oh wow. I got this movie I love, and I've been wanting, and I end up having to just kind of stop. It's based off. It's, it's called Mariachi, and it's basically based off my father was like a Barry White type singer. They left me in Mexico because they was moving drugs. And as a baby, they decided to put the drugs in the stroller and leave me down there. And then I grew up with a mariachi family, but I sing soul music. So, like while they sing all these mariachi songs, I add all these soulful riffs to it. Woo, woo, yeah, baby. It's like, what? That is not how this song goes, but I can't help it. And so, but again, I wore the mustache and the big sombrero, and was it appropriating? Was it rude? Was it crossing the line? You have to kind of temper that. And so nobody bought this movie because it was one of these things where it was like, we don't know if we could do that right now.
People don't want to take risks. How does that change your process when you're developing material? How does it come? Does it just flow to you? Is it observational from what you see?
Yeah.
Do you think and construct? What's your process?
Yeah, a little bit of both. I'm fairly observational in the way I kind of construct a joke. Oftentimes it'll be kind of come from conversation though. If I'm like talking with somebody, I'll see something very interesting that'll happen, that'll like spark a thought, and then that thought just kind of rolls on, which is the old school comedian way. This is what we call the green room comedy, where you like take one thing and then you just start building on it until you actually have the joke. And it started out just like, oh man, water, sparkling water, is good. But then it's like, all right, well, it scratches my throat. And then like, what scratches your throat? Next thing you know, you're doing a whole joke about, look at that. I don't know. It just morphs into a joke. I got a smooth voice, and then I drink sparkling water. And then look at this guy. I'm Rocky's coach.
And when you look at the whole diversity of interests now, people who know you know that you really picked the perfect stage name for yourself, because it is entertainment. You can do all different forms, whether it's hosting or acting or stand-up, and that makes you special. What is hardest for you? What has been the biggest challenge for you professionally?
Oh man, I think is the idea of, how do you put this? Having to qualify your ideas to a group of people that are not like you. So, this has been the biggest thing in Hollywood is to kind of go in and say, hey, this is something I think is great. And then have to have a room still of non-African Americans, mostly people who don't really kind of get the sense of humor, decide that this is something I want to do. And so, you'll find like people just don't have, and I say this pretty clearly because we don't have any comedians other than Kevin Hart with brands anymore, right? So it used to be, you can know a guy had a brand, like they can do their comedy. Right now, and it's kind of changed in general overall. I mean, if you think about is Sandler who can do his own thing, and Will Ferrell's, these guys that kind of come out of that Saturday Night Live camp. But then only body black that's a comedian that can get a green light to do a movie is Kevin, and so it's weird because no Martin Lawrence is, Eddie, of course, is a, superhero, a comedy, but very rare is it that idea like my sense of humor is something I can just walk in a room and sell around town and be like, let's go. No thoughts, no thoughts. They know we're gonna do it. Let's go.
And the one-off on that is Tyler Perry, right? Where he just
Well, yeah,
decided to build his own kingdom.
totally different machine, right? And that's so applaudable because of course, when he took a chance being that, because and the fact that he did it kind of outside Hollywood was really, he was like truly one just a person that kind of believed in himself all the way anyway, because he had the kind of the theater plays, which was bread and butter that nobody knew about. Like he can just tour around the country and, and have 75, $80 million and nobody knows it. Like, he be like, yo, like, where did this dude get all this money? Like, mama, my dad is at the mall. They'll play the hit gospel musical. Mama, your dad is at the mall. Mama, is that my daddy? No, baby. Oh, starring Cheryl Pepsi Rap.
It worked though.
Yeah, but it kills, right? But he was able to do that and then build a brand like back to back. And so I think, definitely one off and unique and so but you don't get to have that. You don't get to have like five of them, like why isn't it five Tyler Perrys? Like, like just people with lanes and being able to create stuff and just do it on their own. So
And you've reached beyond also. You and Anthony Anderson
yeah,
are going to get into the food game
yeah,
now.
man.
How so?
I mean, of course, so Anthony and I have been friends for a long, long time. We did the barbershop movies together. And then, but we would actually travel, we golf and hang out together and we travel. And
Who's
so it's
better?
clearly, I'm gonna have to give it to him at this moment. At this moment, he hits a longer ball, but I got it like I'm a smoother player though. But he hits a long ball.
Would he agree
He
that you're a
just,
smoother player?
yes, he would. He has to know I'm smoother.
He has to know.
He has to know.
When he's not in the
Yeah,
room, he
yeah. When
definitely
he's
has
not
to
in the
know
room,
it.
he has to know. He has to admit it. He probably won't, but he has to kind of admit, yes, I got a smooth guy.
So whose idea was it to get into the barbecue game?
So it was both of us. We were actually, well, I was doing some meat stuff with my wife. We had started with cookies. My wife cooks and everything, and we started with cookies, and then we kind of got into this. We met somebody that was going to take us into, prepared meats, like these kind of like quick meals you can do. And from there, then Anthony was getting ready to do a sauce. And we got to talking about it. And, we had another business partner that knew us both and was like, we can make this a bigger idea, guys. So we sat and talked, and now, we're gonna do a true, branding. I mean, grills, tools, lifestyle. Like we're the barbecue guys. We're gonna really try to build this brand out with
What's it called?
restaurants. Anthony Cedric Barbecue, AC Barbecue. So it's really cool. AC Barbecue. Um, um, We got a TV show that we're gonna shoot. We're shooting it for A&E, and then doing got restaurant partners. We're gonna do exhibitions, exhibits. Big Coachella-esque. Of barbecue. The big
Oh, it's huge.
yeah. We're gonna go hard.
An unofficial pastime of national correspondence, because, I've been to all 50 states. I've been to many of them, many times. You get to understand barbecue
Yeah.
in a way that certainly in the Northeast, we're still just, tiptoeing into it. People smoke, I have friends who smoke stuff, but, region,
Yeah.
flavor,
Yes.
wet, sticky, rub, dry rub, brine. I mean, it is very specific.
It
Those
is.
competitions are no joke.
And that's what's going to be really fun. And actually, because it's like that, nobody's actually really captured it to be able to make it, this kind of holistic space where, oh, you can help me understand this because, yeah, you got a whole thing that happens in the Carolinas that's totally different than in Tennessee. Of course, Texas got their whole thing, and I'm from St. Louis, so we got our own rib.
The cattle gateway.
Yeah. So that space is something that we thought was.
I'm a
really
fan
great.
of the St. Louis beef rib.
Oh yeah,
The baby
rib,
back
yeah.
is obviously known.
Yeah,
But I've spent a lot of time in St. Louis,
that's my move too.
and I'm a beef rib guy.
Yeah,
Not as easy to get.
it is.
Not as easy to keep it moist. I have a friend who smokes on a regular. He doesn't have it right.
Still doesn't have it right.
He does not have it right.
Yeah.
I'll
Does
eat
he-
them
Does he know
because I'm a
this?
mooch. Oh, he absolutely knows it. He listens to this. He will hear it. He will say, "Thank you for not naming
Yes,
me."
They naming names.
And I wouldn't do that. I mean,
No.
we'll just call him John Haley.
yeah,
of
just
course,
just random,
just random.
regular
That
name.
could be anybody.
That's anybody, but not
but
not the
The person that we're calling that really has some work to do.
Yeah,
And that's why I think there's a space for you to fill. What do you have to deal with? You have to deal with, well, one, it's a burgeoning market, but it doesn't have celebrities like you guys.
no.
The other thing will be the wellness people will
The
come at you a little bit.
wellness
Now, I
people,
believe you should
yes.
get a pass because if you're eating this is a sometimes thing,
Right.
But have you given any thought to that? Of everybody wants to live to be 120 now, and
Yeah, I mean, of course, we're gonna do vegan ribs. We already have our
that's a huge
Oh,
market.
it's huge market.
Untapped.
We have organically grown cows who are
The tofurkey market is a big
they
deal.
Love it. It's a toe brisket. It's so,
I believe that people want to enjoy. I think coming out of the pandemic,
yeah.
people were locked up on a lot of levels, and I think that people are really coming out of wanting to live life again, wanting to enjoy. I think your timing is great on that. I think it's a good time for you to be on tour. What do you see when you're out with DL or alone? What is the reception like now? What is the appetite? Of course, you still got people a little wary of being in crowded spaces, but what are you seeing in terms of people desire to laugh and to see life differently?
They're out, man. And I was really kind of pleasantly surprised by that. I mean, we're doing, like the hockey arenas and stuff like that, and in some big arenas, but 8 to 10,000 people like easily showing up at these shows. So, and they're out and they're together and they're having a good time. And so I actually do a whole joke about it. Like I was like, look at y'all, look at you brave souls. I'm up here.
Well, people
like
coming
this,
out of a
but
place
they-
of fear.
Yeah.
And how much do you match your material to the moment?
I think it's important to kind of really kind of be of the moment, and sometimes as local as you can be too. Like DL is of course a pretty and he goes right before me on the stage, and so he's a pretty he's pretty current on all things, and but he can be more political than I am. But as far as like if I'm in a town and I can find out like something that's happening like local there, I usually try to make it my business. If it's decent enough story, I'll go and try to pull that out on stage and see if I can turn that into a joke. But in general, yeah, checking the climate of what's going on in the world. I'm not gonna lay into, super political issues. And of course, I feel like, someone like Trump has just been so beat up in the last few years that if I cannot do a Trump joke, I just won't, So if it's something that's super good, like I mean, if I don't know if he can get arrested and he goes to jail with Big Meech or something, I don't know, like that'll be
You want to be the mommy or the daddy?
yeah, I want to be like He like I'm like a Big Meech, like Trump in there in the bank with the boys. That could be different, but I doubt it.
It'll be a good sign if we can get to a place where we can joke about any of that, because we're nowhere near it now. I haven't seen
Yeah.
barricades around the city like this in a long time. Hopefully they're unwarranted.
Yeah.
But I do think it reinforces the need to laugh
Oh, for
and for
sure.
people to have a different way with it. How do you balance being so busy? You got 6 kids. And
not have 6
kids.
Where'd you
Got
get that
6
from?
kids.
Where'd you get that? Oh my God, Chris, man, my wife would be like,
I've read in
"Who
3
are these
different
other
places. You got
kids?"
9
I
kids,
did not got
8 kids, 6 kids. One place said you had 2 kids.
I got one.
So I'll play to the middle number.
I got funny. I got this one kid that is a running joke in our family that happened on my Wikipedia somewhere. That I got this other kid, and my daughter came up and asked me. She said, "Dad, who's Tinky Florence?" I said, "I don't know, maybe." She said, "I have a sister." I said, "I don't know. I don't know about this kid." But I got 3 kids and a granddaughter, so I got 4 kids.
How do you balance it?
I mean, I really, really feel blessed to have a beautiful wife that's like keeps the house super solid, and have us all bonded and uniquely. And so, but that was one of the reasons why I really stopped doing movies a while back and made a choice to do television so that I could have a regular kind of home life. Because, movies weren't being made in Los Angeles. And so, we were all everywhere, Vancouver, Ireland, Prague, So so when I started to do television, and especially multicam television, it gave me a regular schedule. I can come home, I can be with the kids, I can pick them up from school some days, I can take them to school some days. And so I was just a part of it. And, I mean, my son, who's 22 now, but he was on his spring break last week. He came on the road with me. He was on tour. We hung out. He loved it. We had a great time. I do the same thing with my daughter.
Are they performers?
No, he's like he's an artist, animator into the arts thing, and my daughter is she's in the business. She's actually doing a lip gloss line, and she's very serious and studying business and communications at LMU, and so they
And the other 5 kids, what do they do?
and the other 5 kids, they're all over the place. They're doing things. I'm hoping one turns into a big time basketball player that I can come through later on in life and go, "Son, I'm your father."
Once they get really, really big.
Yeah, once they go huge, I'll show up.
Are you happy that they don't want to be in the business?
Yeah, my son does want to act a little bit, and he's, but he's kind of doing it his own way. Like he went to go study in London, a couple years ago, and he came back and he, felt like he wanted to go more towards the arts. And then recently he started taking an acting class again with like a big time acting coach. And so, I think he's just kind of doing it at his pace. He doesn't ever come, he doesn't come and ask me for roles or for me to hook him up. And he'll go and do his own auditions. So I feel like he cares about it in a personal way and not expecting to just kind of, use nepotism or something to just blow up, right? So I think if he does it that way, he'll end up being, a really great, strong actor. And so he actually directed a play, which was great. So it was good to see him grow in that kind of direction. Like he directed the play at for his alma mater. So he took the old high school kids and directed a really cool play. Did a great job.
So as long as he's happy and he's doing it his way,
Yeah,
you support it.
Yeah, that's it. I think that's like that's one thing I didn't name him Cedric Jr. or nothing like that. We didn't want to have kids, my kids having to kind of live in those kind of shadows and that kind of thing. So he's this old guy, man, and we talk about that and try to encourage that. And of course, I'll help you whatever you want to do, and I'll throw my weight around. Come on? What do you want to do, kid? Oh, I know people.
You know people.
Yeah, so I got some favors. I got some favors out there, but but in general, he's just like having a good time, And I told him, at 22, you don't have to have it all figured out. That's kind of the thing that happens, especially with boys. They feel like they have to have it all. He stressed himself out so much a couple years back, just feeling like he needed to have all the answers. And I was like, bro, like, no, come on, man.
Never happens.
Never. No,
by the way.
No matter of fact, no matter. I was like, I don't think I started doing comedy till I was like 28. I think I was 27, 28 years old. I was late in life.
But you've had, you're in the really functionally the middle of a great run.
Yeah.
And the question becomes and you're so, there's a fearlessness to what you're willing to do. I mean, even going into barbecue, with a friend, that's ambitious.
Yeah.
A lot of guys don't want to do that. They'll just put their name on something, get a licensing fee and then go on their way. You want to own it. I remember it was a long time ago. But you even got into the racing game. You went in,
yeah.
I remember
cars.
that. Yeah, the champs cars.
Yeah, champ cars.
And that's just, you see an opportunity, you go for it. You see it all related to the entertainment.
Yeah. Yeah, it was one of those unique spaces. Again, I was doing a lot of stuff with Bud Light at the time. And, everybody was kind of trying to go into the NASCAR space. And, Champ Cars was international. And I thought, okay, this is different. And so we actually, we went and raced around the world, and I won. I won in Australia. We went down. We placed in New Mexico. I was able to be like, take my name and my brand around the world in these races. And I mean, it was like super expensive sport, and it wasn't enough real estate for Bud Light. Didn't necessarily transfer over to Australia like they want to drink Moosehead or something.
Yeah.
So it was like after
the blood of their enemies.
Yeah, they didn't. Yeah,
it's much harder stuff.
Yeah, much.
They're tough people.
What is this piss water?
It's tough people. I had a guy try to put his finger through my cheek playing down there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Just like,
and he did not think he did anything wrong, by the way. He was like, that's the game. That's the game, mate. And I said, whatever you want. You got a finger that can go through my cheek. I'm going to give you some attention. I'll tell you that right now. But it was very ambitious for you to do it. What do you see out there when you're like, okay, here's what I want to do that I haven't done?
Oh, man. I think, for me, it's definitely, I'm on building this business right now. I started to, of course, look at people that's transitioned from their core business, like Magic Johnson, people I really love and admire, to have a great kind of second act. Not saying that I would ever stop doing this, but great second act.
Brand extension.
Yeah, brand extension, but really not just about the labeling. I mean,
But the food is going to be the thing.
Food's going to be one of them for sure. That's definitely like leading the pack. We got some real cool stuff there that I'm really excited about. And we're into it. Like, we're out here, looking at, building this whole thing up and not rushing it, but, have a strategy to build a business.
Now, one of your people had said that you were thinking about getting into the sock business and you were going to send over Cedric's decorative hose. They were called hosiery.
Yeah.
I think that's a controversial choice.
Yeah.
Very high, too.
Yeah,
mid-knee.
hose. Yeah. Well, it's because...
And I'm a 70s kid. I remember high socks.
I love those, though. It's coming back. I mean, and they're tight. So it's...
Socks have made a big comeback.
Yeah, it's the kind of hosiery, though, that, a man's man wears,
it's just men's hosiery.
And you take it off.
Joe Namath tried
and
it.
You scratch.
That didn't work out so well when he did the legs commercial.
The leggings, yeah. It was like, with the... And I think it's the high heels that kind of threw everything off.
I'll tell you what, I don't like to admit this very often, but I tried it. When Joe Namath did that, he was a hero to me. I was a Jets fan.
Okay. You did.
And my mom used to have the plastic eggs. The legs came in the egg.
Nice.
Saw the egg. That was a mistake, Cedric.
And put it on, and then
because that was
the form shape. But to this day, you have really great legs.
You know what? They make a difference.
Think about it, and think about that. Like that's what people.
You see the ballers now; they're all wearing the compression gear,
and the shorts have got shorter.
All right, there's something to it.
And so somewhere in there, and now they call it compression.
Compression.
It's the same.
Hosiery.
It's the same thing. These guys, compression socks. No, you were wearing stockings, my man.
Yeah. That's okay.
Yeah, you may as well sit in the front row of the church with your
Yeah.
napkin over your
I'm
legs.
all right with that.
Okay.
You
I
know,
got it.
if it makes you feel good,
I am. I'm a big fan of that
you
too.
should be loud and proud about it.
Yeah, I'm a
But I'm
big
just
fan of
thinking, if
that.
you're going to extend the brand,
So hosiery,
yeah,
it is no W.
decorative.
Hosiery is it WH?
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna have to work on that part
Okay.
because you could be really
Yeah, because
run out of
I
town
love the
fast.
controversy of it too. Like when people are like, what is he saying? What do you mean by that?
Well,
Yes.
one of the nice things about this is that I get to talk to people that have made a difference for me. And you have had me laugh in different ways for a long time. I look very forward to what you're going to do. I love what you're entering as a space with your friend Anthony. But I have to say, I think the Kings of Comedy was one of the most impactful things for comedy, period. The way you guys dressed, the way you presented, obviously wound up leading to a really good relationship with you with Harvey.
Yeah.
But the way you guys came out, it was so big,
Yes.
and it made us revere comedy in a way that seems so right and purposeful. And did that matter to you, and has it stayed with you? And is it something you hear about consistently about the impact you had on people
Oh,
by elevating it?
for sure, definitely. And, and it was one of those things too, because at the time, um, you know, y- we were all like kind of individual headliners where your ego was one thing at that time because I would be able to go to you know the Beacon Theater or somewhere, right, and be able to sell this thing out, and I was my own person, right, and so then the idea for us to come together, and I remember being younger. There used to be this thing called the Superfest. It was music, right? But it was the first time you saw like all these acts together. Stevie Wonder, Earth, Wind, and Fire. They all on one show. Shaka Khan, and you're like, oh, this is an amazing night. And that's what it reminded me of when the guy presented it. It's like everybody's going to be there, all of you guys on one show, and we're doing arenas. And it was like the first time to do an arena tour was amazing. And so, it definitely changed. It definitely changed even though other people had done like the individuals. I remember, of course, Dice Clay did the arena tour, Eddie Murphy did the arena, and I believe Martin had done one by then, but nobody had kind of presented as, hey, this is the Beatles
It's like
showing up.
it's like comedy rock stars.
Yeah, exactly. And it definitely changed everything. Until this day, it still resonates. People always like, when y'all gonna do another one? And it was just one of those things. And and we got very close right before Bernie passed of doing it, another quick run and shooting the special. But once B Mac passed, we just kind of like, and then it just never felt like it was gonna be they're like, who would you, that's the question too. Who would be the fourth quick king now? Like if you was gonna do it. I was like, well, everybody's like these on anybody that you would name, they don't need to be in the group, at this point. Like, Kevin is out of this world and Chappelle's out of this world and Rock's out of this. Everybody, them the only guys, I guess, that you would say, all right, cool, that's the fourth king.
I think that you stick with the original.
Yeah.
And you'll always be known as that.
Yeah, I agree. So, I still feel it's definitely a cool story to be told and an opportunity. I was trying to get Steve to come back out and do like just one little quick run, man, and we can have some good fun, and we'll do some stuff where we just put together Bernie's set, and take some pieces and put it on and let people just see him on camera and just like let him do a set like from some old material that people hadn't seen, like like they do.
I like it.
Like remaster.
I like it.
Yeah, that'd be dope.
I do. I mean, because there was only, you're only an original once.
Yeah.
Right? And you guys did it, man. And it meant so much for me and our whole generation.
Yeah.
You'll always be a king of comedy.
Yeah, man.
And you earned it. And Cedric, I appreciate you so
Pleasure,
much.
brother, man. Thank you, man.
Thank you. I look
That's
forward to your success. Anything I can do to help with any of it, I'm here for it.
Yeah, man.
And I appreciate you coming and
This is awesome, man.
having a sit on the couch.
Came through the crib, man. I pulled up.
I got to tell you, I will eat the man's barbecue sauce. even though I think you're supposed to call a dip, to be honest. But he's funny, and I just like what he's about. And that matters to me. And when I'm going to buy something, and he's made me laugh for so long, and that is a gift. I hope it was to you as well. Thank you for following. Thank you for following. Thank you for subscribing. And thank you for remembering News Nation and giving it a try, 8 and 11 p.m., 5 nights a week. I appreciate you, and I look forward to seeing you again.